A question that I've been getting asked more and more lately is, how do I get better at shoot 'em ups? I really enjoy them, but I suck and I want to be better. So what can I do to improve? Well, I'm going to give you the good news first. Aside from straight practice, there's one method that I found, that's right, just one method, that if you practice and master will help elevate your game to new heights. So don't expect a huge list. We're gonna keep it simple. Just this one method, this one tip that you can implement immediately and see an improvement in your game. In all shooters, any shooter, because it'll translate to all future games that you play. I'll also give you 3 quick tips on how to practice that will exponentially increase how quickly you improve. So not only will you have a concrete method to practice, but I'll explain how to practice so you can get good faster. Another question that I get asked a lot is, can you recommend some good shooters for beginners? So what I'm going to do in each video is highlight a specific game that I think is excellent to learn on. Not because it's easy, but because the game has a good progression that slowly teaches you how to play and is good for learning. I'll take specific sections from that game and show you what and how to practice to improve your skills. And I want to start with Blazing Lazers, my own personal starter shooter that got me hooked on the genre. So before I jump into my top tip, it's important to have a foundation. And the foundation of shooters is practice.
You need practice, alright? Practice. So
before I show you what to practice, I want to explain how to practice so you can get better, faster, with less frustration and more results quickly. Now, if you have the attention span of a goldfish, you can check my description or my chapter list in the comments to jump directly to a specific section that you may be looking for. Step 1 to practicing efficiently is to pick one game, just one, and perfect it. Play it until you can 1 credit clear it. No continues until you own that game. The skills you gain mastering that one game will transfer to other games. The second one will be easier, the third one easier still. When you keep starting new games, you have to keep learning new patterns and levels, losing valuable practice time. Once you can perfect a game, any game, perfecting the next becomes easier and easier. It's a skill of starting a game you don't know yet and becoming proficient. But if you always jump around, you won't likely perfect any of them. So if you're just getting started and want to improve quickly, stop playing a new game every day and thinking you suck. By all means, break it up and play others for fun, but put the majority of your time into a single game that you've chosen to master, because it's going to be a template for how you master all other games going forward. Step 2 to practicing, use save states. You want to maximize your efficiency and get better faster? Well, you'll get exponentially faster by saving at key moments of the game and practicing them over and over until you perfect them. Save states is how speedrunners practice, and for good reason. It allows them to perfect a game section by section. It's how I'm able to much more quickly, in the course of a week, go back to a game I've beaten in the past and get good again in a short period of time. For my brutal shmup series that I've been doing, do you think I can simply play not 1, but 5 brutally hard games to completion and create a video within a single week by starting over every time I screw up until I learn? Hardly. Save states, use them. Practice sections that are giving you the most trouble until you figure them out. Can you get good without them? Sure. If you have more free time on your hands and you know what to do with, have at it. But if you want to get better faster, practice more efficiently with saves. And the final step 3 is to practice smart. Learn from the best. And in this case, the best is the internet, with tons of amazing players and great gameplay that you can watch and learn from. Don't simply beat your head against the wall on something difficult. Watch someone else do it and see how it's possible. Study their technique for that particular trouble section, and then try to duplicate it. You'll eventually develop your own way of playing, but you have to walk before you can run. If you focus on these 3 things, picking a single game to master, speeding up the process by using save states to practice, and watching video of other great players, you can become a pro at your choice of game faster than you think. And once you can 1 credit clear your game fair and square and have it down, you can move on to the next one and the next. And with every successive game, it will get easier. So here it is, my personal #1 top tip that'll help elevate your game. Are you ready? We're gonna practice how to dominate the screen. In just about every shooter that you play, either you control the enemies on the screen or they'll control you. You need to dominate that screen like Garry Kasparov, the famous chess player, dominates a chessboard. You need to own that chessboard, and that's what we're going to practice. Unlike most other genres, like platformers where you control the scrolling of the screen, most shooters incorporate the element of timing, where you're pushing forward whether you like it or not. So in shoot 'em ups, the best defense is a good offense. Your goal is to take out enemies as quickly as possible, often the moment they enter the play area, and to control the amount of incoming bullets. The closer you are to an enemy, the faster your rate of fire, the faster they die. And much like chess, each enemy has its own unique pattern of movement it follows and how it can attack you. And you want to be on top of that enemy to take it out so fast that it doesn't have an opportunity to attack, and prepare yourself for the next one. If you've ever watched pros play, you've noticed how easy they can make it look sometimes, right? But when you try it, it's nothing of the sort. Well, a big reason they can do that is because they are eliminating threats so quickly that they're dictating the pace of the game by dominating the screen space. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's easier said than done, Junkie. I'm not good enough to dominate the screen like that. Patience, Daniel-san. You're going to learn today, and we're going to learn using Blazing Lazers. So let's get started. Now, this isn't a how to play Blazing Lazers video. We aren't going to go through this level by level and put you to sleep. It does a fine job of that on its own. Not putting you to sleep, but of slowly showing you how to play with progressive difficulty. The first couple stages are very easy and like riding with training wheels, and it's a perfect opportunity to learn your ship. Try out the different weapons and see what works best for you. You also have 4 speed settings, so play around with them and see what speeds work best for which areas. Stage 3 moves much faster and is a bit more of a challenge to keep the screen clear. Remember, your goal isn't to simply pass the stage, as the level is still fairly easy. The goal is to clear it with no hits or deaths, by learning the incoming waves and clearing enemies quickly. You're building up to something. Stage 4 is a final opportunity to practice destroying enemies quickly before you get put to the test on Stage 5. It's relatively easy with slow-moving brains to destroy. The enemies to focus on here are the gray color brains. These will explode into many smaller brains if you don't kill them quickly within a second of being on screen. Stage 5 is where you will graduate with this tactic, and one of the main reasons I chose it as a great learning stage. This level has a ton of missile-spewing pyramids, moai, and obelisks that shoot out a lot of bullets. This stage can range from quite easy if you get good at destroying them before they can fire, to quite difficult if you hang back and allow them to overwhelm the screen. So the key is to become proficient at destroying most of these static, ground-based enemies quickly. You'll need to anticipate upcoming pyramids and ground targets, so you can kill as many as possible before they overwhelm your newbie ass and end your run. As a kid, this was the first stage that gave me trouble, and I had to practice to complete. Here is an example of how not to play the stage well. Notice how the enemies in their fire is controlling my position, and how instead of focusing on killing them, I have to avoid their shots and run away as they start to overwhelm the screen. Once you lose your advantage, it's not easy to regain it. They're now in control of the screen, and the section is more difficult. Here is the same section with me keeping them under control, and how much easier it is to get through. They go down before they can do much, and I'm left with very little to dodge. I'm making it look easy, and it is, once you get the hang of it, but it won't be at first, and that's why this section is a goldmine for practice. Clear Stage 5 without using a single bomb. It's very doable if you have a powered up weapon and go on the offensive, taking out all these hazards before they get a chance to fire many bullets. Once you make it through the level without bombing or dying, save a state, and you can practice the relatively easy boss. Stage 7 is where the training wheels come off, so be prepared to save at the start and put in a lot more practice time to master it. It's similar to Stage 5, only more so, with quite a few enemies that will overwhelm the screen if you let them linger. While this stage is still possible to clear without bombs, don't feel bad about using 1 or 2 if you get caught, at least at first. Your goal for Stage 7 is to play well, not lose your power-ups or die, and make it through without wasting more than a bomb or 2. If you can manage that, you did good, and are ready for the next stage, and a new lesson to practice. On to stage 8, the famous bubble level. And I really like this level because it's here to teach you an important lesson. Dominating the screen is also about positioning yourself properly when eliminating the enemies or the bullets isn't always an option. Dominating the screen is also about holding your ground despite the onslaught, as if you yield the space, you're allowing the game to herd you where it wants you to go, where it will ultimately trap you. Here is an example of playing outside the pattern. Notice how my options are limited and how it can become impossible to not get cornered. If it wasn't for the shield absorbing my attacks, I'd be dead here. The game has me right where it wants me. I have to spend all my time surviving and can't eliminate many of the threats coming onto the screen. Now watch this same section again, this time with me refusing to yield the space to the incoming bubbles. I'm saying, this is my space, bitch. I own it. As soon as I move out of the way of the bubbles that I can't destroy, I return right back to center and reclaim my space. I am dictating the terms of my location and not allowing the pattern to herd me toward the edges of the screen. This allows me to direct my firepower and destroy many of the incoming bubbles, making it possible to dodge around what's remaining. Save a state on this level and before this area and practice this section over and over. Don't use any bombs. Without going to the next level and playing bullet hell style games, it's a masterclass in learning how to play within the pattern and hold your ground. It's indispensable for all future shoot 'em ups that you play as well as bosses by allowing you to kill them faster while staying in their face versus playing outside their bullet pattern. It takes practice, of course, but this skill of identifying patterns and forcing your will onto the game, controlling the incoming enemies, and not allowing it to dictate your space is what will elevate your shooting game to the next level. Now that you've made it through the bubble stage, you're on to the final level, and a lesson that's actually going to be a lot of fun. And the reason it's fun is because you're going to learn how easy it can actually be. You're going to hear a lot of people say how the final level is really hard and a pain in the ass, and how you need to save up your extra lives and your bombs just to be able to make it through. And I'm going to show you that that is completely and utterly wrong. The final level in this game is actually quite easy as long as you have the right combination of weapons and you approach it the way we've been approaching the other levels of the game. You're going to learn, wow, you know what? This level is pretty easy. Or it could be that you've actually gotten good. First, I'll show you some gameplay with a different weapon and how it affects my ability to take out enemies quickly. It makes for a more hectic and difficult stage, and one that can kill you quickly. Now watch this section again using my weapon of choice. I'm literally doing almost nothing. The shield eliminates much of the incoming fire, and the powerful forward shot quickly finishes off larger enemies. I'm literally waltzing through these sections, and the enemies have no chance before they're destroyed. This level is a boss rush, with difficult enemy patterns meant to trip you up in between each one. But approached correctly, not only are these sections a cakewalk, but the bosses are a pushover with the same weapon. That includes the final boss here. The first phase goes down quickly, and I simply loop around the bullets and panels that come flying off. This next phase can be done by a 3-year-old with this weapon. Simply sit here and fire, and none of her shots can even touch you. The final phase is also a breeze. Your shield will eliminate any real danger from its ring shots, and you can mostly point blank it. The lesson of this level is this: after getting good on level 5, and then the bubbles on 8, and choosing the right weapon here, you're now a much better player than when you started. You just breeze through the final stage that many used to fear, without a single death. You didn't need to cheat, or all the extra lives and bombs. You have the right weapon, and you used it to dominate the screen throughout the entire level and turned it into a breeze. And when you tell others that it's easy, they'll say you're just good at shoot 'em ups. In reality, you'll know that you made it look easy by choosing the right weapon, controlling the incoming enemies, and dominating the screen space. You made it easy with practice and the right approach. Clearly, what I talked about today isn't everything you could possibly need to know about getting good at shooters. It is Shooter 101 after all, but I thought it was a good start or a good base to build upon for future videos. So if it does well and people like it, I'll continue to make them. This is the first video that I've done like this, so I definitely would love some feedback. Let me know in the comments what you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see me do, what I can improve in, so I can show that in the next video. One thing about me personally that a lot of people seem to find surprising is that I'm not particularly competitive minded. I don't love chasing high scores, and I don't play shooters to compare my skills against others. I don't enjoy turning games into a chore or into a technical exercise, and I rarely know my score unless it felt like a particularly good run. Unless I'm playing a timed score attack or against friends, I'm really just playing to have fun. Now that's not to say that I don't care at all about scoring. Some games are built around it where chaining and racking up your score is part of the experience. Dodonpachi is the classic example. But I'm certainly not accomplished at it. I've got several friends that are far, far better than I at that. I'm a shmup junkie because I love playing them, not a shmup god, nor have I ever claimed to be. So if you're an expert that wants to compete for the highest of scores while living off cat food and maybe showering once a week, I'm not the guy to help you. However, I can definitely recommend some great resources. One is called Full Extent of the Jam, and I linked it in my description. If you're serious about scoring, especially in bullet hell style games, it's a great read, written by someone with extremely high scores in the genre.